Most people believe that if you want to build muscle as you age, you need to eat more fish, chicken, or lean meat. But here is the surprising truth. There is another food far more accessible, far more versatile, that can actually outperform fish when it comes to protecting your muscle and reversing sarcopenia, that is the gradual loss of muscle mass as we get older. Now, why does this matter? Because muscle is not just about strength or physical appearance. Muscle is your body's metabolic engine. It is the single biggest consumer of blood sugar after a meal. It is a warehouse for amino acids that your immune system depends on during stress. And it is a powerful endocrine organ, releasing molecules called myokines that lower inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, and even support brain health. When you lose muscle, you are not just getting weaker, you are losing your metabolic shield. And here is what the science shows. After the age of 50, the average person loses up to 1% of muscle every single year. That means by the time you are in your 70s, you could have lost 20% of your lean mass, unless you intervene. This is what doctors call sarcopenia. It does not just make you frail, it accelerates fat gain, worsens diabetes, raises the risk of falls and fractures, and shortens lifespan. So the big question becomes, what food, what strategy can we use to fight back? You might think fish is the gold standard. After all, it is rich in protein and omega-3 fatty acids. And yes, it has benefits. But the story is much bigger. There is a class of foods that have been studied intensively in the last 5 years, and the results are game-changing. These foods not only deliver high-quality amino acids that stimulate muscle protein synthesis, they also regulate hormones like insulin and cortisol, reduce inflammation, and improve the way your mitochondria, your cell's power plants, produce energy. In today's video, we are going to uncover exactly what that food is, how it works inside your body, and most importantly, how you can begin adding it into your daily life to preserve strength, boost metabolism, and even slow down the clock on aging. So if you are over 40, if you have noticed that your arms or legs are getting thinner while your belly is getting thicker, or if you simply want to optimize your health for the next decades of your life, this is for you. Stay with me, because by the end of this talk, you will have a clear, science-backed plan to use food as medicine to protect your muscle and reclaim your energy. When most people think about muscle-building foods, their minds jump straight to fish, chicken, or beef. But here is what the latest research shows. Beans and legumes. Foods like lentils, chickpeas, black beans, and soybeans are among the most powerful muscle-preserving foods you can eat, especially as you age. Now, let me explain why. Protein is made up of amino acids. Your body can make some of them on its own, but 9 of them are what we call essential amino acids. You must get them from food. For decades, the assumption was that plant proteins were inferiors because they were thought to lack these essentials. But newer studies show that legumes, when consumed in the right amounts and combinations, provide all the building blocks your muscle needs. In fact, research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that plant-based proteins from beans and soy can stimulate muscle protein synthesis to the same degree as animal proteins, provided total intake is sufficient. Here is what is really going on inside your body. When you eat beans or lentils, the amino acid leucine triggers a switch in your muscle called M2R. Think of it as the ignition key that tells your cells, start building. That is the exact same pathway activated by whey protein or a fillet of salmon. But legumes add another advantage. They are packed with fiber and resistant starch, which feed your gut microbiome. And your gut bacteria in turn produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which lower inflammation and improve insulin sensitivity. Both of those are absolutely critical for protecting muscle over the long term. Let me give you a simple analogy. Think of your muscles like a construction site. The amino acids are the bricks. Leucine is the foreman who tells the crew to start building. But if your site is surrounded by fire, in this case inflammation, no construction can happen. That is why beans are so powerful. They not only deliver the bricks, they also put out the fire. Now, you might be wondering, do I need to eat huge amounts of beans to see results? The answer is no. Clinical studies show that even 1 to 2 cups of legumes per day is enough to measurably improve muscle maintenance, especially when combined with resistance training. One study in older adults found that adding soy protein to the diet increased lean mass and improved leg strength within just 12 weeks. Here is a protocol I recommend. Start with 1 serving of legumes at either lunch or dinner. A serving is about half a cup cooked. Pair it with whole grains like brown rice or quinoa, which complement the amino acid profile. And if you are active or doing resistance exercise, place that legume-based meal within 2 hours after your workout to maximize muscle protein synthesis. If this is helpful so far, tap the hype button below and consider subscribing. I post content like this every day. The supplements we are discussing in this video are tagged with the video. You can get them from online stores. So, the takeaway for this first section is simple. Forget the old myth that only fish or meat can preserve muscle. Beans and legumes are not just substitutes. They are metabolic protectors. They provide protein, they lower inflammation, they improve insulin sensitivity, and they feed the gut microbiome that in turn helps your whole body stay youthful. This is your first science-backed tool against sarcopenia. Now that you know beans and legumes are powerful muscle foods, let us look more closely at how they actually work inside your body, because understanding this mechanism is the key to appreciating why they are so effective against sarcopenia. Here is what is really going on inside your body. Every time you eat, your muscles are presented with 2 possible outcomes. Either they receive the signal to build, or they continue breaking down. This balance between muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown is happening constantly, 24 hours a day. When we are young, the signal to build is strong, but as we age, the sensitivity of our muscle to those signals declines. Scientists call this anabolic resistance. It is one of the main drivers of sarcopenia. Now, here is where legumes come in. Legumes are rich in leucine and lysine, 2 amino acids that act almost like molecular switches. When leucine levels in your blood rise after a meal, it activates a pathway inside your muscle fibers called mTOR, mechanistic target of rapamycin. Think of mTOR as the master growth switch. When it turns on, protein synthesis ramps up. New muscle proteins are built, the fibers grow thicker, and over time you preserve strength. But here's the part that is often overlooked. It is not just about leucine. The combination of amino acids in legumes provides the right balance to sustain the signal for longer. For example, lysine enhances collagen cross-linking, which stabilizes connective tissue. Glutamine, also abundant in beans, supports immune function and reduces the breakdown of muscle during stress. So, legumes deliver more than just a spark, they provide steady fuel for construction. Let me explain with a simple analogy. Imagine your muscle like a factory. Leucine is the switch that turns the lights on. 1-2R is the manager who organizes the production line, but you cannot run the factory if the workers are exhausted or if the power supply is unstable. That is what happens with chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, or poor mitochondrial function. Legumes stabilize the power supply. Their fiber slows the release of glucose, keeping insulin in a healthy range, which is crucial because insulin is not just about blood sugar. It is also a co-signal for muscle growth. Without insulin present in the right rhythm, leucine cannot do its job fully. What the research shows is that when older adults consume plant proteins enriched with leucine, they overcome anabolic resistance and stimulate muscle synthesis effectively. One landmark study published in the Journal of Nutrition demonstrated that a soy protein meal with adequate leucine produced the same muscle-building effect in seniors as whey protein. Another trial in 2021 showed that pea protein supplementation increased muscle thickness in resistance-trained individuals just as effectively as dairy protein. So what does this mean for you? If you want to fight sarcopenia, you need to trigger mTOR regularly. The easiest way is through diet combined with resistance exercise. Legumes should be a cornerstone. Aim for at least 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal, with legumes making up a significant portion. For example, 1 cup of cooked lentils contains about 18 grams of protein and a powerful leucine load. And remember, timing matters. After physical activity, your muscles are primed to absorb amino acids. If you place a legume-based meal in that 2-hour post-exercise window, you maximize the anabolic response. Pair it with a whole grain for complete amino acid coverage, and you have essentially built the perfect muscle-preserving plate. So, the key message here is this: legumes do more than just provide protein. They are molecular signals. They flip on the very switch that tells your body to build muscle instead of losing it. They counteract anabolic resistance, they work in synergy with insulin, and they provide the exact biochemical environment your muscles need to stay youthful. When it comes to muscle preservation, protein alone is not enough. Hormones decide whether your body stays in a state of growth or decline. And this is where legumes play a fascinating role, because they do not just feed your muscles, they reshape your hormonal environment in ways that protect against sarcopenia. Let us start with insulin. Many people only think of insulin in the context of blood sugar and diabetes, but insulin is also one of the body's most important anabolic hormones. It helps shuttle amino acids into muscle tissue and works alongside leucine to activate that mTOR switch we discussed earlier. The problem is, with age and poor diet, many people become insulin resistant. That means insulin is high in the bloodstream, but the muscles are no longer listening. The signal to build gets muted. Legumes directly improve this. Their high fiber content slows the release of glucose into the blood, leading to a steady, moderate rise in insulin instead of a damaging spike. Over time, this improves insulin sensitivity, meaning your muscle cells become responsive again. So when you eat legumes, you are not just feeding muscle, you are retuning your hormonal antenna so the growth signal can actually be heard. Now, let us talk about cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. It is catabolic, meaning it breaks tissue down. Chronically elevated cortisol from poor sleep, chronic stress, or inflammation accelerates muscle loss. This is one reason so many people in their 40s and 50s feel like they are shrinking and softening even if they are eating well. The beauty of legumes is that they have a naturally calming effect on cortisol rhythms. Their magnesium content supports the adrenal glands. Their fiber stabilizes blood sugar, which prevents the stress spikes that force your body to pump out extra cortisol. And compounds in soy and chickpeas have even been shown to lower circulating cortisol in clinical trials. And then there is growth hormone. Growth hormone is secreted in pulses, mostly at night, and it is essential for muscle repair and fat metabolism. But growth hormone release declines steadily with age. What the research shows is that diets rich in plant proteins, especially legumes, help maintain a healthier body composition, less visceral fat, and more lean tissue. That reduced visceral fat in turn allows growth hormone pulses to be stronger. In other words, eating legumes sets off a positive chain reaction: less abdominal fat, stronger growth hormone signals, better muscle repair. Let me explain with a simple analogy. Think of your hormones as the traffic lights in your body. Insulin is the green light for muscle growth. Cortisol is the red light that says stop, break down. Growth hormone is the maintenance crew that comes out at night to repair the roads. If those lights are out of sync, traffic turns chaotic and your muscle suffers. What legumes do is reprogram the lights. They make insulin flash green at the right times. They keep cortisol's red light from getting stuck on, and they allow growth hormone's repair crew to show up more consistently. Now, here is the protocol. If you want to align your hormones for muscle preservation, build legumes into your main meals at least 4 to 5 days per week. Combine them with vegetables rich in polyphenols, like leafy greens or cruciferous vegetables, because those compounds further reduce cortisol and support insulin sensitivity. And make sure you are pairing this with restorative sleep. Remember, growth hormone is released during the deepest stages of sleep, and legumes, magnesium, and B vitamins actually improve sleep quality. If this is helpful so far, tap the hype button below and consider subscribing. I post content like this every day. And remember, the supplements we are discussing in this video are tagged right here. You can find them easily from online stores. So the key message here is that legumes are not just food. They are hormonal regulators. They restore insulin sensitivity, they lower cortisol, and they indirectly support growth hormone. This triple effect creates the perfect hormonal environment to fight sarcopenia naturally. Up to this point, we have talked about amino acids and hormones. But there is another piece of the puzzle that often gets overlooked: inflammation and oxidative stress. If you are losing muscle faster than you should, even while eating protein, these are the silent culprits in the background. And legumes have an incredible ability to disarm them. Here is what is really going on inside your body. Every time your muscle fibers contract, especially during exercise, tiny amounts of oxidative stress are created. Normally, this is a healthy signal that tells the muscle to repair and adapt. But when oxidative stress is excessive from poor diet, toxins, lack of sleep, or aging mitochondria, it begins to overwhelm the system. The result is muscle protein breakdown. At the same time, low-grade chronic inflammation, driven by visceral fat, poor gut health, or high blood sugar, creates a constant release of cytokines. These inflammatory molecules block the anabolic signals inside your muscle, making it harder to grow or even maintain tissue. This is one of the reasons older adults lose strength despite eating enough protein. The environment is toxic to muscle growth. Now, legumes intervene at multiple levels. First, their polyphenols and flavonoids act as direct antioxidants. Black beans, for example, contain anthocyanins, the same compounds that give blueberries their deep color, which neutralize free radicals before they can damage muscle proteins. Lentils and chickpeas are rich in quercetin and camphorol, compounds shown to reduce oxidative stress inside mitochondria. Second, legumes lower systemic inflammation by feeding the gut microbiome. When the fiber in beans reaches your colon, bacteria ferment it into short-chain fatty acids like butyrate and propionate. These molecules travel through the bloodstream and directly lower inflammatory signaling. In fact, several clinical trials have shown that people who eat legumes regularly have significantly lower C-reactive protein, a marker of systemic inflammation linked to sarcopenia and frailty. Here's a simple analogy. Imagine your muscles are like an orchestra. The amino acids are the instruments, the hormones are the conductor, but inflammation is the background static. If the static is too loud, no matter how good the conductor is, the music is distorted. Legumes quiet the static. They clear the noise so the symphony of muscle building can actually play. And here's where it gets even more interesting. By reducing oxidative stress, legumes protect your mitochondria. Remember, mitochondria are the power plants of your cells. They produce the energy your muscles need for contraction and recovery. When mitochondria are damaged, not only do you feel fatigued, but your muscles cannot repair properly. Legumes, through their antioxidants and gut-derived short-chain fatty acids, protect and even rejuvenate mitochondria. That means better endurance, better recovery, and slower muscle loss. So, what does this look like in practice? Build a rotation of different legumes into your weekly meals. For antioxidant diversity, vary your colors. Black beans for anthocyanins, red lentils for carotenoids, chickpeas for quercetin, soybeans for esflavones. Aim for at least 3 different varieties per week. Cook them with anti-inflammatory herbs and spices like turmeric, cumin, or garlic, which further enhance their protective effects. And here's a practical tip. If you sometimes experience bloating or discomfort with beans, start small, half a cup, rinse thoroughly, paired with fermented foods like sauerkraut or kimchi. Over time, your microbiome adapts and the benefits increase dramatically. So the key message here is this. Legumes are not just about protein or hormones. They are anti-inflammatory medicine. They disarm oxidative stress, quiet the chronic inflammatory noise, and protect your mitochondria. By doing so, they create the internal environment where your muscles can finally thrive. Now that you understand the science, let us turn this into something you can actually use in daily life, because knowledge is only power when you can apply it. And when it comes to legumes, the way you prepare, combine, and time them makes a huge difference in how much benefit your muscles receive. Here is what the research shows. Muscle protein synthesis is maximized when you consume 20 to 30 grams of protein at a time, not when you spread tiny amounts across the day. That means you need real, intentional servings of legumes in your meals. 1 cup of cooked lentils provides about 18 grams of protein. A cup of chickpeas provides 15 grams. If you combine that with another protein source like eggs, Greek yogurt, or quinoa, you easily cross that threshold. Here is the first protocol. Place your legume-based meal within 2 hours after resistance training. This is what scientists call the anabolic window. During this time, your muscle fibers are like sponges. They are primed to absorb amino acids and rebuild. A lentil and quinoa salad after a workout, or a black bean chili for dinner after afternoon exercise is a simple but powerful strategy. Second, do not underestimate the power of variety. Different legumes bring different nutrient profiles. Soybeans provide isoflavones that support hormonal balance. Black beans deliver anthocyanins that reduce oxidative stress. Lentils are rich in folate and iron, critical for red blood cell production and oxygen delivery to muscles. Rotate through at least 3 types each week. This ensures you are not just stimulating muscle, but also covering the broader bases of mitochondrial health, blood health, and hormonal balance. Third, preparation matters. Some people avoid beans because of bloating or discomfort. That problem usually comes from oligosaccharides, a type of carbohydrate that ferments rapidly in the gut. The fix is simple. Soak dried beans overnight, rinse canned beans thoroughly, and cook them slowly with herbs like cumin, fennel, or bay leaf. These steps reduce the compounds that cause discomfort while preserving all the benefits. Fourth, pairing is essential. Legumes on their own are powerful, but when you combine them with whole grains like brown rice or quinoa, you get a complete amino acid profile. And when you pair them with vegetables like spinach, broccoli, or tomatoes, you add extra antioxidants that synergize with the polyphenols in the legumes. Think of this as building not just a muscle meal, but a metabolic medicine plate. And fifth, be strategic about frequency. Aim for at least 1 legume-based meal every day. It could be hummus as a snack, lentil soup at lunch, or a chickpea curry at dinner. The key is consistency. Just like exercise, the benefits accumulate over time. You do not reverse sarcopenia with a single serving of beans. You do it by building the habit into your lifestyle. If this is helpful so far, tap the hype button below and consider subscribing. I post content like this every day. And remember, the supplements we are discussing in this video are tagged right here, so you can find them easily through online stores. So the big takeaway here is simple. Legumes are not just a theoretical superfood. They are practical, affordable, and easy to build into your meals daily. If you soak them, pair them wisely, rotate varieties, and place them at the right time of day, you can turn every serving into a powerful anti-sarcopenia protocol. This is how you translate science into real-world muscle protection. We have looked at the amino acids, the hormones, the anti-inflammatory effects, and the practical protocols. But now I want to bring it all together and show you the bigger picture. Because eating legumes is not just about stronger muscles today. It is about shaping the trajectory of your health for the next 10, 20, even 30 years. Here's what is really going on inside your body over the long term. Sarcopenia does not happen overnight. It is a slow, progressive process. A little loss of grip strength here. A little loss of balance there. Muscles shrinking quietly year after year, and then one day the body crosses a threshold. Climbing stairs feels impossible. Carrying groceries is exhausting. Falls happen more easily. This is why sarcopenia is sometimes called a silent killer of independence. But here's the hopeful part. The research shows that sarcopenia is not inevitable. In fact, populations around the world that consume legumes regularly have some of the lowest rates of age-related frailty. The so-called blue zones, places like Okinawa, Japan, and Loma Linda, California, are famous for their longevity, and one of their common denominators is simple: beans are eaten daily. What the studies show is remarkable. Regular legume consumption reduces all-cause mortality, lowers risk of cardiovascular disease, stabilizes blood sugar, and protects against obesity. But for muscle specifically, legumes ensure a steady supply of amino acids, antioxidants, and gut-derived metabolites that create a resilient metabolic foundation. That foundation translates into more energy, stronger mobility, and preserved independence as the years go by. Think of it like this. If your body is a house, muscle is the foundation. Without a solid foundation, the walls start to crack and the roof begins to sag. You can repaint the house, you can patch the leaks, but without the foundation, it will not stand. Legumes are the building blocks that keep that foundation strong for decades. Now let us make this practical. If you begin today with just one legume-based meal per day and combine it with consistent resistance training, here is what you can expect over time. Within 3 months, you will notice better energy, improved digestion, and possibly even a modest improvement in body composition. Within 6 to 12 months, strength markers like grip strength, stair climbing, or endurance during daily activities improve measurably. And over years, you will reduce your risk of frailty, falls, and the cascade of complications that shorten lifespan. Another long-term benefit is metabolic stability. Because legumes regulate insulin and cortisol while supporting mitochondria, they prevent the vicious cycle of belly fat, high blood sugar, and muscle loss that traps so many adults after midlife. Instead, you create a positive cycle, steady energy, leaner body composition, stronger muscles, healthier metabolism. And here is the final piece. The affordability and accessibility of legumes make them one of the most sustainable longevity foods on the planet. You do not need expensive supplements or exotic powders to protect your muscle. A bag of lentils or chickpeas prepared consistently delivers benefits that rival the most high-tech interventions. So, the big takeaway here is this. Legumes are not just food for today's meal. They are food for your future self. By building them into your lifestyle, you are investing in independence, resilience, and a longer, healthier life. That is the true power of using food as medicine. We began today with a simple but powerful idea. You do not need to rely on fish or expensive animal proteins to protect your muscle. Legumes, humble foods like lentils, chickpeas, black beans, and soybeans are some of the most effective, affordable, and science-backed tools we have to fight sarcopenia. Here is what we uncovered. Number 1, legumes deliver the essential amino acids, especially leucine, that flip the growth switch inside your muscle fibers. Number 2, they improve the hormonal environment by restoring insulin sensitivity, lowering cortisol, and supporting growth hormone function. Number 3, they disarm inflammation and oxidative stress, protecting your mitochondria and allowing muscle to thrive. Number 4, when you prepare and time them wisely, you can maximize muscle protein synthesis and recovery. And number 5, with consistency over the years, legumes safeguard not just your strength, but your independence, your metabolism, and your longevity. The bigger message here is this: muscle is not vanity tissue. It is a metabolic organ. It is the engine that burns your blood sugar, the reservoir that supports your immune system, and the armor that keeps you mobile and resilient as you age. Every forkful of beans is a signal to your body: stay strong, stay young, stay independent. So, here's my challenge to you. Try adding just 1 serving of legumes into your meals each day this week. Maybe it is a lentil soup for lunch, a chickpea curry for dinner, or even hummus as a snack. Pay attention to how your energy feels, how steady your blood sugar is, how well you recover from activity. Track your progress. You will be surprised at how quickly your body responds when you give it the right tools. And remember, this is not about perfection. You do not need to overhaul your diet overnight. Small, consistent changes accumulate. Muscle is built meal by meal, workout by workout, day by day. By choosing legumes regularly, you are building a foundation that will support you for decades. If this added value to your health journey, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This way, you will join a community of people who are taking their health seriously and learning how to use food as medicine. And as always, the supplements we have discussed are tagged with this video, available through trusted online stores if you want to explore them further. Protect your muscle, protect your metabolism, and most importantly, protect your future self. Because the strength you build today is the independence you preserve tomorrow.